All right. Well, first of all, thank you all for coming, and thank you to Jorma for agreeing to participate in the dance talks tonight. I personally find it thrilling to speak to creative people who are innovators, and I really admire those who, what for many of us seems like magic, to pull something out of thin air, who are these innovators, and find out what the genesis of that is. What is also thrilling is to be part of this organization, Houston Ballet, which puts such an emphasis and priority on helping to shape the future of our art form and really pushing that forward. Let's get right to it because I have a lot of questions. Let's talk, before we speak about you as a choreographer, a little bit about Jorma, the early years, your introduction into dance, and your career as a dancer. So what was your first spark into, or your doorway into dance?
Well, I was more into sports when I was a young man. Okay. My sisters were to modern dance, and I was playing hockey, so I wanted to become more flexible, and I thought, hey, I try dance lesson, and I will be better than the other goalies in NHL, and so then I went to dance class, and I felt the athleticism and the movement was similar, the experience that I got from hockey in dance class, but then there was music connected to it. And that just, then I was hooked on it.
Yeah.
And of course, yeah, it's a little bit cliche, but I was the only guy in the class. and it does affect you when you're 11 years old. And,
sure.
So.
I sympathize. And then how did you make this a career? How did it become something that you said, this is what I'm going to do for a good period of time, and make it something more than a hobby?
I think when my teacher said, like, hey, you got some talent, that you should go to the Finnish National Ballet School. And the school in that time used the old opera house, Helsinki Old Opera House. It's a beautiful old building. It's very cute. It's full of labyrinths to get into the studios. And I just, the first walk, I went through all the costume department, the painting atelier.
Yeah.
There were some opera singers coming across me, and then I came to the ballet studio, and there was also professional dancers in the same room. When I went to the ballet school, I was like, this is, it was just magic. It was like a small box of beautiful artists, and I knew this is what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be with these people.
And then from there, you moved. Where next?
Then I went to I had seen Baryshnikov perform, and I had seen Nureyev perform live, and then I was like, oh, where do these guys learn this skill, how to dance? And I really wanted to go to the school. And luckily I was accepted to study at the Kirov school in Leningrad. So that's where I kind of finished my schooling, and then I got a contract with the Finnish National Ballet.
Right. So you were there at Finnish National Ballet for
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
And then how did NDT happen for you?
Well, first I went in Sweden to Kullberg Ballet. It was, if you know Matsek, a choreographer, he came to set work for the Finnish National Ballet, and he was just through and through a theater man, but connected to the dance. and his intensity to the work was something that I hadn't seen before, and I really wanted to work with him, and he gave me a job, and so I went to Sweden, worked with him for 6 years, and with great touring company, small 20 people, fantastic artists, and also then I got more involved in being together with somebody who was creating on me, and that added a whole new level to and then after 6 years there I moved to NDT because Jiri came to Kohlberg to work with us, and then there was another man that I was really fascinated by him and his work, and he also gave me a job. I'm so lucky. So I want something and I get it.
So, talking about Jiri Killian, I think there are two types of dancers. There are dancers who have worked with Killian, and then those who want to work with Jiri. Yeah. I just want to know, what was that experience like, and what he imparted to you, and answer this as a dancer, and then maybe later on we'll talk about how he influenced you as a choreographer. But as a dancer alone, what were some of the things that really challenged you that he gave out?
Well, it's kind of because I spent 14 years working with him, and the intensity that you basically spend your life with somebody like this, and it happened to be, Jiri, who was a very creative mind. So it's really hard to even. It's like you're married to somebody. What the things are. Well, I worked with Mats Ek, and he was very verbal, and he had everything kind of mapped out, what he expected of you. But Jiri was much more mystery, and he used very few words. So I think he was like working with the master surgeon, In 1 hour he would just wonderful dancers, now we can go home. And something incredible had just happened.
Right.
But nobody felt the effort, nobody felt like there was a struggle going on, or it was just well-chosen strikes here and there. Right. And he hardly got up from his chair. Not that he couldn't, he was an incredible dancer, but he just chose to see it clearly in his eyes and then just kind of make it happen.
That has to be such a great deal of trust, both ways. Trust in your dancers, and also the dancers' trust in him to make those choices and have that process work as fluidly as it did. It's incredible to wonder what all those puzzle pieces were that made that time at NDT so fruitful, and do you have any insight into that as to why was that time so special? Because it was a special time for any company producing so much and such great work.
Yeah, no, I feel very lucky I was there that time. I heard you did just Petit More, work of Jiri, and it was my,
I did your part, by the way.
Oh.
Great, fantastic.
So, nice.
Yeah.
So anyway, that warms my, to come to another issue, is like, that really warms my heart to see, like, because we did it, and it was like one day at work, just you didn't think like you're going to make a masterpiece that will be done by Simon Ball, in Houston 20 years later. So, and it's great, that kind of, because you felt involved in the process. You know, it was not Yuri telling me how I should, you know, put the sword around the girl. It was me who did happen to do that with, then became my wife later on. But so
there was some magic in that sword, huh?
Indeed, yeah. We got married last summer.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, beautiful life, man.
Yeah.
What was your question?
I don't know, but that's fine. We don't need to question answer. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, about Yuri still. I think what he, since he used so few words and he created an atmosphere that he chose people that were creative.
Yeah.
If you look at the dancers from the time that I started, how many percentage of those became choreographers? And who are quite, they're making a living out of actually being choreographers is quite high compared to a lot of companies and periods. So he chose people that he could see that they could have input in it, and he encouraged it all the time. So every year we had a dancer workshop where the dancers had an opportunity to use the stage and make their own little experimental creations. So and he was always asking, "Are you going to do something for next year?" And
he's very encouraging.
Yeah, and asking like, "What are you interested in?" And so there was constant questioning to the dancers.
And would he ever help if you came to him and said, "I have this problem, I don't know how to get past"? Would he ever give his input, or
his input was like, "What do you think, son?"
Yeah, right.
What do you think about that? Exactly. So it's frustrating at the first, but after a while you realize, like, if you're a choreographer, there's no manual you can go back to, and the entrances, I need entrances, I need how to make the adagio finish. You know, you have to be able to process a lot of questions in your mind, and trust that there's some sort of unconscious
more
result to those questions, that you don't get it immediately.
Right.
So,
and do you feel an obligation in any way to carry on a legacy at all, or is that beside the point and it is what you do, and or do those voices creep in of what would he do, or what is my place in the scheme of things?
That's an interesting question. I have never thought of that. That there would be some sort of legacy I would have to carry. I'm so proud that I got to be working with them. So I think my joy and proudness of what I've experienced will naturally foster something out of it. Yeah, but I will think of that more, maybe.
No, I think that's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. No need. So now about the choreographic process a little more. When you begin a piece, where does your inspiration come from? How does it get from being nothing to being something? Is it movement driven, or is it music, inspiration from the dancers, or a certain seed of a concept? And while you answer that, I'm going to click through some supermodel pictures up here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hot stuff, eh?
Yeah. Good.
80% it's the music.
Yeah.
I have. I try to collect a big library for myself of music that I love, and then I get commissioned a project, and immediately my mind goes to my library of music that I love and I know, and more or less, and I think what would fit this project, hopefully in good time, and then I will listen to that music like it's like on a
real second nature. So
it just goes on.
Yeah.
I don't anymore you know, pick the structures. I don't, you know, it's just looping in my mind. And then I feel like I'm so comfortable in that that pool of music that then I'm free in the studio with the dancers to any impulse on
Right.
when we work together.
Right, right.
But I have made Midsummer Night's Dream, by the way. You also had a great production here. So then it is the story.
Right.
But also there, I love the Mendelssohn music, so I wouldn't have done it unless the music would have been a big source of initial inspiration for everything to come from zero to something.
And is there any piece of music that you, not because it's not good music, but because there's a personal reverence for it, that is untouchable for you? Say there's a piece of music you love, but you would not choreograph to, because you don't maybe think it needs choreography because it's complete by itself, or for some other personal reason that, no, I won't touch that. Is there anything like that for you?
Well, there's plenty of music if you go the whole range of music. But if you think of classical music, of course there's a big classicals, Bolero, Carmina Burana. These are like things like I would try to avoid. But then again, like, why would I avoid what, you know, that kind of challenges me a little bit. So
Yeah. Maybe you never say never.
Exactly. So there is no rules on that, man. So.
And you spoke about your narrative ballet. You did Carmen, right?
Yes.
And also Midsummer Night's Dream. How would you are you careful to preserve your movement quality while telling a story? Is that something that you think, okay, it won't be Jorma Ilo if it's not XYZ, or is everything open game? Is it open to anything at that point?
It's open to anything.
Yeah.
I try to be free on any kind of restrictions, but I can think like, okay, it's for these companies, for these dancers, it's this story, it's this music, so it may be I want to use a .2 work for this one, then I will stick to it probably. I won't in the middle of it change it into a flat foot bare feet ballet probably.
And personal curiosity, does that play any role in you creating a new work? Do you want to find out what's going to happen at the end? Is that, or is the end goal your reason for beginning? Or does it vary from project to project?
I think it varies, but you know, the end, you never know how the process goes, so it's always a mystery. There's no, it's very hard to nail it before you had the journey.
And the dancer's influence, how does that play into?
Well, that's a huge one, of course. That's what I live for. That's, you know, I was a dancer for many years, being with the dancers in the studio. That's what I continue. That's the communication. It's based on a lot of two bodies, like two animals being in the space together, and how we react to each other. So a big part of it is that. And so creation is only one part of getting dance on stage. The other is the rehearsal process of making sure that it's somewhat consistent and that there's consistency in the performance. And what is more interesting to you? Is it the creation process or tweaking things, the nuts and bolts of the rehearsal process that allows
that finished product on stage to be something you're proud of? Is it A, the creation process, B, the in the studio, or is it C, the finished product, or D, all of the above?
Simon, it's all wonderful. It's all wonderful.
Okay, we're done then.
Creation, it's beautiful, exciting, but it's also it's very scary. So it's like you're living with the monster for that period of time. So it. I mean, I sleep well in the night, but it keeps on. It takes something out of you. But the rewards then are fabulous. You know, you get to be with the dancers and you get to make something. But there are moments when you have to go to the studio and you just you wash your face a couple of times extra
Right.
than what you need. It's like jumping into unknown void. You know, those same kind of fear factors come.
Right.
This is opening. Every job can have this one, but compared to what is to work on existing and tweaking it it can be also hard, but it doesn't have that kind of fear factor. So, but I'm drawn into both of them.
Right.
So, and luckily I get to do both of them. So
Yeah.
it's just different kind of beauty.
And that fear factor is, do you think that that's something that's necessary for the creative process? For you? If you didn't fear...
I have never done without it, so I don't know. I would think all the choreographers have to some extent, and then you just find ways to cover it up and not talk about it in front of people. You know. But it's
I was speaking with James Kadelka, and he was saying, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing this, before he started a piece for us, he was listening to his Walkman, and he just said, Simon, it never gets better. Yeah. And he's been doing it for, director of National Ballet of Canada for years and years and years. It never gets better. And then, say, everything's done, opening night comes around, you're at the Bolshoi, you're at the Met, you're sitting in the audience with everyone, and your piece is about to go on, curtains going up.
Yeah.
What's that feeling? Because not many of us will ever feel that, I think, because it's exposing, right? It's, it's the feeling. So a nightmare. You have to give a speech about neural surgery in the front of 3,000 people. It's like you won't actually hide, or it's an animal. You meet a lion, and you. Right. What do? You either freeze or you run away. It's and you get this. The face becomes strange temperature. And, and when it's over, does it get better?
No, I mean usually, often it's after the dancers start, and then you're like, oh, they're so fantastic.
You get lost in it yourself.
Yeah, and then you go on, But there's that little moment. I don't really get nervous before, but it just that you sit there.
Sitting there.
And it's just an unusual situation. Usually you're with the dancers in the studio, and that's what you do. 8 more hours a day, and then I hardly ever practice sitting on place, and it's just something you don't.
Right. Yeah. So we have some clips of 1&1. If we could just look at those, and then we'll talk a little bit specifically about 1&1. So you had.
I want that tape.
Yeah, you
They
got that
look
one?
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And edited well too, right?
Yeah, and I'm proud of those dancers.
Yeah, very good.
Amazing.
So you had a lot of new dancers this time as well. Did you adjust anything, maybe not in content, but approach, which for those dancers because of their personal attributes or?
Some things, not a lot. I mean, we adjusted some of the choreography. I tried to communicate with there's like half of the cast is new. A little bit what approach to it should be.
Yeah, and I snuck into rehearsal yesterday. You probably saw me there. Yeah, and you gave some last-minute pointers to the dancers before they went on stage last night for opening night. And I just want to give you a chance to elaborate on some of those.
You wrote them down?
I didn't. Yeah,
Oh,
I did.
what did
I'm sorry. They were great too. They're fantastic. And so number one was dance as a child. When you see a child dance, it's very natural. The rhythm enters their body. Why is that something that you want to see?
Well, I think every ballet performance should be about dancing, and for me, dancing, whatever style it is something that is not. It has to be on molecular level. That's why we are different from other people. We know how to react to the music in a way that the other people are not trained to do. And I think we all can do, but it's just knocked out of our systems when we grow up. So the children still have the direct wiring how to react to music and how to make your body synchronize it with it in their particular own way. So I just think dancers, we practice so much. So sometimes even I'm not a dancer anymore, sorry, you dancers, but I feel myself as a dancer still. Anyway, so we practice things so much, so along the way we can also forget that it all should be, at least in my mind, connected to those childlike feelings that we as dancers we still have connected to the music.
Another one was when entering the stage, have purpose and have the audience see that you have that purpose and perhaps know something that they don't know, and have them wonder what it is that you know that they don't know.
Yeah, I think that the dancer who has a lot of information when they arrive on the stage makes the audience curious. It's also something that we have built in our system of why you're drawn into elements that, because either it's a strange animal, should we be scared of that because he knows more than me? You know, so we're drawn into that instead of, oh, it's acting like all of us. So the more the dancer has information, even if it's small, you know, I have a particular focus, or I have a particular feel of the floor today, and that makes it that performance, that moment will be unique to any other performances. Right. So I try to encourage them to make every moment different also through that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then you spoke about the lightness of the music and how you didn't want them to be drawn into the lightness, but accentuate the intensity of the movement itself.
Yeah. So the Mozart's music, it has, especially the violin concertos, I think they have those two layers of it being very playful. But in this case, how I fell in love with the music was the extreme use of the instrument, the violin, and how difficult it is, and how much concentration it needs. So that the dancers are connected to that complexity of how you use the refined instrument to its ultimate beauty,
right,
and not be carried away by
melodic,
light joyfulness. It can be joyful through, like a violinist, because it's so difficult. But when you achieve that moment of creating the purest sound, it will evolve into beautiful experience, and that's would like the dancers to match.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Last one, you showed your appreciation to the dancers not just for rehearsing steps, but utilizing the time to practice performing, and then you also said talked about smiling, and I think that's kind of related in keeping an honest performance, keeping an honest presence.
Yes, yeah, but yeah, I think it's one of the things. It's important for a dancer to be reminded of that we are doing every day something that is meant to be performed. But you do it for so many hours. It's crazy, dancers. How many, you know, no athlete, nobody rehearses this many hours. But to remind them that it should be, the elements of performing should be rehearsed. Mm-hmm. Not to rehearse because you rehearse. Practicing, you know, practice performing. Right. So I think there's a difference. For every artist, it's different what that performing is and what they like. But I think it's good to be reminded of. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And smiling just because I think it can be applied to a performance as an extra. In the theater, it's you know, you put smiling mask or crying mask. It has beauty in it also. But in this particular music and piece, I want that the smile will come from a place that is an experience. Is an experience. So it's joyful to dance with you, Simon, today, or it's joyful to dance with this group, mm-hmm. and that will bring a smile instead of just presenting a smiling figure.
Right, right. Working with Boston Ballet, you've been there for such a long time. How do you see that working with them different than working elsewhere where you may not be so familiar with the company?
Well, it just, like we spoke about Sabi here just before, that you had met in a competition in Hungary. So I have worked with him for this one particular dancer for 10 years. So the relationship in the studio has grown in 10 years, and there's no matching, even though there's fantastic dancers in Houston Ballet and they respond very fast to what I want, but still 10 years will be always different than 2 months.
Right.
So that has, and that affects also the whole organization, how they know me from every level, the stage and marketing, everything. So it's really my home in.
It's another marriage.
Yeah, another marriage. Yes. Yes.
So, American Ballet Theatre, San Francisco Ballet, New York City Ballet, Bolshoi, Boston, Royal Danish Ballet, Royal Ballet of Flanders, Vienna State Opera, Stuttgart, Finnish National Ballet, Hubbard Street Ballet, Basel Ballet,
Stop.
Norwegian.
That's crazy.
How many frequent flyer miles do you have? And will you share?
All airlines. Welcome, Mr. Elo.
Hey.
Happy to have you.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, no, that's it's wow. That's really crazy what you said there.
You can take.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And you know I go from Houston. I go to Bolshoi Ballet and there's like nobody on the door introduction like, hey, and can I show you? I just walk through the door and I go in the studio in Moscow, and we start work. I'm there for a couple of weeks. I go to Boston, and I just walk straight in. And no other job has this. Dancers, they can connect to choreographers, and it just,
language barriers, nothing. Yeah.
And there's morning class everywhere around the world in every ballet company at 10 o'clock. It's.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I love it. So it looks like it's many things, but it's still so. You feel so comfortable doing that. So.
Right. Right. Well, on that, I'd like to thank Jorma, and thank you again, everyone, for coming. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.